A very warm welcome to all of you to the 2022 edition of the European Research and Innovation Days ASEAN. And we have a fabulous panel waiting for you. Our discussion today, how public and private funding can finance green innovation. And as you're all coming in from the waiting room, you can already see on your screen the fabulous panelists that we have invited for you and who are all taking time out of their super busy schedules to share with us their expertise on this very important issue. Now, my name is Susanne Renzo-Vaso. I am part of the Euraxis ASEAN team of regional representatives. You can see also my colleague, Dr. Jenny Lind Almaco. She'll speak to you just in a second. And we are the hosts of the Euraxis ASEAN EU RNI Days. This is already the 7th edition of this very important platform, which we are putting on as a dialogue forum for researchers, for innovators, for policymakers, for citizens in ASEAN and in Europe to come together and to discuss some of the burning issues that are facing the world today. Now, this year, as you know, we're looking at the twin transition of green and digital in ASEAN and in Europe. And we're hoping that together we can find some solutions to the ecological, to the economic, to the social problems that the world is facing. So thank you so much for joining us, not just today, but perhaps also in the coming days. This event runs until the 11th of November. And we have a whole host of workshops, of best practice sharing sessions, a lot of opportunities for you to also identify potential research collaborators. Starting next week, we are putting on sessions where our member states, the countries that make up the European Union, are sharing with us the research and the innovative ideas that are coming out of Europe, and where there is potential for researchers and innovators in ASEAN to join forces with their European counterparts. So we hope that after today's session, you perhaps go look at the schedule again and also join us for the remaining sessions. Now, before we start today's sessions, I'm handing back to my dear colleague, Dr. Jenny. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you so much, Susanne. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce to you your moderator. She's a good friend, of course, of Euraxis and really doing a lot of things as well when it comes to science, diplomacy, excellent science, frontier science. She is also, of course, one of those renowned scientists in Thailand and in Southeast Asia. So we are very, very happy to have her. She's Deputy Director for Global Partnership Program Management Unit for Human Resources and Institutional Development Research and Innovation, or very simply PMUB of Thailand. And she was the former Dean of Asian Development College for Community, Economy and Technology, Chiang Mai Rajabat University, Thailand. I hope I'm doing that right. Sai. So Dr. Sai was the recipient of a Fulbright scholarship and received her MS and PhD in chemical engineering from the University of Michigan with doctoral appointment at Argonne National Laboratory. She established the Chiang Mai World Green City as a living laboratory for green technologies with 100% renewable energy-based smart community. She was the ASEAN-US Science and Technology Fellow and worked at the Ministry of Energy Thailand on decentralized community power and was awarded the 2016 ASEAN-US Women in Science for Sustainable Energy. So, Dr. Sai, the room is yours. Thank you so much for guiding us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Jenny, for your kind introduction. I'm very honored and I'm very excited to be the moderator for the session. It's the session, How Public and Private Funding Finance Green Innovation. We all know that due to the climate change issues, a lot of the even though that in academia, research and government are trying to push toward the goal for carbon neutrality and also for greenhouse gas net zero goal. So we have a very challenging and steep road ahead of us in order to meet the challenge of the target goal. And so this session, which is very important. Well, I think in order for us to move, even though we can work as a team, we can't move without financing, without money, right? So this session is for us to share and information and create a space to discuss the importance of financing green initiative. And then our excellent 5 speakers will be share their perspective and recommendation of how to promote funding initiative for the sustainable project. We have 5 excellent speakers from various institutions who will bring various perspectives. For example, like from the government side, Jean-Pierre Masselli, and he is currently the French Development Agency, Southeast Asia Regional Director. And then so he'll be bringing the perspective from a more of a government kind of perspective of funding agency for various initiatives. And we also have J.R. Dimikas, and he's the president and co-founder of Y-Goal, which is a social enterprise organization providing consultancy services, specializing in program development, training, development, and impact. And he also a consultant for like various project and do multinational project funded with the very, very prestigious funding agencies and that. And not only that, he built a robust network for over 40,000 online followers. Okay, so he'll be bringing the perspective from the more of an NGO or social entrepreneur side. Okay, as well as the public sector side. Next person is Joel de Almeida. Okay, and he is currently the strategy in the strategy of Funda. I'm so sorry, I mispronounced, in Santander, Portugal. And prior to this, he was the manager for the sustainability and climate change of Ernst & Young Global Limited, handling the ESG indices and rating, value and impact assessment, diversity, inclusion, and human rights. Okay, and so he'll be bringing the perspective of the foundation and how did that implement various initiatives for sustainability. Next would be Rajan Bhuyan, and he is the doctoral researcher for SNT, the Interdisciplinary Center for Security, Reliability, and Trust, University of Luxembourg. And he'll be bringing the perspective of researcher as the one who's preparing energy system with demand side flexibility and doing research for power system flexibility and the digitization of energy system. And he is also very active volunteer in the Erasmus Mundus Association, and he managed the management board and the director for the outreach program. Okay, and our last speaker would be very honored to introduce Associate Professor Nguyen Hong Quan Lin, and she is the headmistress at the International School, Hue University in Vietnam, and she has a background in land management, remote sensing, and GIS, and she's been doing her work, a lot of research on looking at the urban system or rural area system, looking at how to make it urban planning for more of a low carbon system. Okay, so I know that we have like 5 excellent speakers and we have only an hour and so minutes to speak. So we're going to split into about 3 rounds. So the first round, I would give the floor to the speaker to give about 5 to 8 minutes of the introduction. This is a space and venue for you to share about your experience regarding to financing green initiative and on your perspective. And each of the presenter, you might have slide or you don't have to, you can just speak and it's up to you. And then, so would it be okay if I start with Mr. Jean-Pierre Masselli, please? Can you be the first speaker to share your experience? Okay.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for your invitation. And it's very interesting workshop. So I'm Jean-Pierre Marcelli. I'm the regional director for AFD, so French Development Agency Group in Southeast Asia. So meaning for for the ASEAN. I'm quite a newcomer since I arrived 2 months ago. So in a nutshell, so the AFD group is made of AFD SER for the public sector, Proparco for the private sector. So it's a subsidiary for the private sector, a little bit like a small IFC. And we have Expertise France, which is just devoted to technical assistance. Every year we invest on SDGs on behalf of the French government, about 12 billion euros from all over the continent. I would say from Argentina to the Far East. And we have about 80 field offices in the world. As far as the ASEAN is concerned, we operate in 7 countries, meaning that we have 7 field offices, plus a regional hub based in Bangkok, where we have some experts on energy transition, urban development, finance, and so on and so forth. We have an exposure in the region of about 3.5 billion euro of ongoing portfolio, and every year we invest around 900 million euros of more funding just on HGs. Our priorities in the region are really on climate, so meaning mitigation and adaptation. So concretely speaking, we just as a matter of instance, we do finance energy transition, so a lot of renewable energy, of course, energy efficiency, and more, I think. Public transport, clean public transport, we take it as, of course, a strong mitigation. And that at every time you've got a match between the global issue, which is climate, and also the good living condition of the population. On adaptation, we finance a lot of disaster risk management programs, and of course some agroecology agricultural programs, just actually to sustain food security in a more adaptive way to the climate change. And we've seen, fortunately, in the region, in China, or on the other side, in Pakistan, how it can actually very severely affect the condition of the population, the changing weather. We also have a priority the blue economy. So actually, it's keeping the natural resources of this 20,000 island zone. The ASEAN actually hosts 20,000 island to make fisheries sustainable, to keep biodiversity standing, take care of the mangrove as a huge carbon sink, and to have tourism which is sustainable, and so on and so forth. And we have also connectivity, and of course, green finance. And green finance is obviously a very, very important topic. It is actually how to finance those priorities. Green finance is not an objective as such. It is actually to try to mainstream the huge amount of finance that are circulated in the region and the world towards more impact. And there is some appetite from the financial sector to be more responsible. Of course, with about close to $1 billion activity a year, we are small for the region, and so we take a high care to partnership, and so relation with the Asian Development Bank, with the World Bank, with JICA, and of course within the Team Europe scope is very important. We work only with leverage, and in terms of instrument and approach, so how do we work? The group, so we provide direct and intermediate finance to foster green innovation in the region and worldwide. And with a main mandate is to support financial organizations to achieve their transition towards more sustainable models in order to foster innovation and green practices of tools. So it's not just to finance a single shot, okay, 100 million credit line for green and eco-friendly economy. No, it's just also to accompany a transformation of the other stakeholders, of our clients, of our partners. So it's to work with them on changing their model. I would like to, in this respect, to highlight the complementarity of AFD Group, because we can tackle the IPP and the energy, we can finance the government, we can also work on research. And this is something I really like to stress, is that I personally and AFD really in depth pay a high attention to linking research to finance and to peer-to-peer dialogue. And when I'm talking about research, it is embedded research, of course, in exchange with a research center worldwide, but really there is nothing which has more value than the research recommendation coming from the host country, because of course the political decision taker listen more quite often because there is more trust. And this is something which is, we call it a public policy dialogue, and whereby actually the funding is just the results eventually of the dialogue, and not just the purpose. It's just a demonstration, implementation of what has been thoroughly discussed with peer-to-peer dialogue. For instance, we connect a renewable energy company from another part of the world with a renewable energy company from the ASEAN, and they talk to each other. Expect or having only high-level consultant who sometimes never manage an energy company themselves and who advise very wisely, but actually they never had the same life that the manager with the same time as a payroll to secure, as to deliver power, to make sure under some politician on his back and so on. So the complicated life of the doer are not all having extremely skilled, smart and consultants. So to be more realistic, we combine AFD, Proparco, Expertise France research on peer-to-peer dialogue. We act at the macroeconomic level. So we like to talk to regulators, to central banks, to policy enablers. They have a fantastic power because they are the one who can fix some norms, for instance, to the banking sector, asking them, you guys, I want you to go out slowly from fossil, I want you to take more attention to the social impact and so on. So the leverage is tremendous because they manage trillions, while we can only consider millions or billions. But of course, we do also work at microeconomic level, so working with public banks, private banks, private financial institutions such as equity structure to microfinance institutions. So I would say all stakeholders, including up to NGOs, if they are actually embarked on, I would say, sustainable, responsible financing in the poor neighborhood, as a matter of instance. And so we try to work a lot on green finance, and we trying to work on the mobilization and the power of the public development banks in the world. You have 500 public development banks. Every year they invest trillions, and actually AFD encourage a sort of coalition of them with summits, world summit. You have public development banks from America to China, from all over the world, who talk together about how to mainstream financing. And it's called the Finance Common Summit. And it is quite growing now. The phenomenon is quite growing. The first one took place in Paris, the one in Roma, the last one 2 weeks ago in Abidjan, and the next one will be, I think, in Latin America, and I think the 2024 one might be, I think, in Southeast Asia. So it's a sort of a coalition of public development banks, and we can provide credit lines, policy-based loan, which is transformation of the states, of the mutual finance, of the regulation, and so on, to adapt. Also for them to work on state-owned enterprises, and we have also the ability to encourage green bonds, because since we are a development bank ourselves, every year we borrow on the insurance market. We borrow about 9 billion euros. The rest come directly from our governments, and so we also issue ourselves green bonds, SDG bonds. So we just share our experience, how it works, how it's difficult, how it's easy, with our partners to learn together. Some real interesting example in Asia. I won't talk only about what AFD is doing with our credit line to PTSMA, credit line in Thailand or in Vietnam, or what we are doing on trying to green the financial, I would say, the budget maybe in Cambodia. But regarding multilateral activity initiative, the one which is led by ADB and ASEAN, the ASEAN Catalytic Green Fund, that we really commend a lot. We participate to it, and it's a smart product, which has an initial capital of $500 million. But I think there are some representatives of Asian Development Bank today, and they would talk better than us about this smart instrument, which is managed by ADB and hosted by ASEAN Infrastructure Fund. It just actually provides soft financing to come along with state financing and donors financing in order to make infrastructures more attractive for private investors in a sustainable way. Meaning actually the compensation that the private sector will do it more social with a better social tariffs, greener, more responsible. This is a bit the contract of the innovative ACGF ADB-led instrument. You have another initiative which is called Energy Transition Partnership. It has been launched during a One Planet Summit, and actually it gathers financing from foundation, because foundations have also a lot of power, and government and financial institution, and actually provide expertise financing in Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam for innovative way of financing to green the energy and to green the finance. And it is, by the way, managed by UNOPS. So in a nutshell, this is why I wanted to tell you about which strange animal is the AFD group, what we are doing in the region together with partners, because alone we are very small. 3.5 billion of exposure euro is very small compared to the magnitude of the economy and its finance, and our priorities and how we try to get more ecological, economical, green and responsible, friendly financing.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. So I see there's so many initiatives. Not only you have to look at the priority, and you have to look when you're working with different countries, you need to see the priority of the country. So it will have mutual goal together in order to move toward more of a sustainable initiative. Okay. And then for the next presenter, I'd like to invite Rajan first. I think he has some other meeting to go to, so it will be great to get his perspective. Yes. Okay. Rajan, the floor is yours for about 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Varadit Sai. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. I will share my slides now. I think you can see now. I'll go to presenter mode. So hello, everyone. So it's nice to be here. It was very nice to hear about the initiatives of AFD from Jean-Pierre. It's big scale from a macro level point of view. Let me introduce myself before I go into some content of the presentation. I'm Rajan Bhuiya. I'm a graduate of Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree in Environment and Energy. My session was 2017 and 19. This is a graduation picture from mine. Currently, I'm a third-year doctoral researcher or PhD candidate at University of Luxembourg. Here I'm working at a research center, SNT, and I'm an active volunteer at Erasmus Mundus Association. So the first point is connected to the last. So people who are studying or have graduated from Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree, this is an alumni association for those people, Erasmus Mundus Association. So yeah, so taking a new perspective, I am going to bring a young entrepreneur's point of view. I would request you to now imagine a scenario where I'm a recent graduate or a final year PhD student or a young researcher, and I have an idea related to energy and climate that is basically coming from my research, my studies, or whatever I have done recently in the last few years. Now, I believe that this is a nice idea, good idea that can have benefit, that can impact the society. So I want to pursue this idea. So the question now is, where do I look for funds to realize my idea, realize my dream? what are all the options available, who to contact for more information, and how should I proceed. So from young entrepreneurs, recent graduates, these are some of the questions that usually would come to mind. If you have an idea that you want to pursue, you want to see whether this can be a big thing in the society, can you have impact in your area. So a young researcher, a recent graduate might not have all this information. So this information lag or lack of information can be a hindrance to realizing the dream or the idea that you developed in your final years of your study. So a possible solution that can happen, we can also discuss in the panel, also others here, Orajit, Sai, Jenny, and Suzanne, they can also contribute later, is I had an thinking is maybe there could be a new platform similar to Euraccess, where all the European, it can be more outside of European as also, but let's imagine all the EU green funds are listed and details for applications are available there. Now, why I came up with this possible solution? Because when I was looking for PhDs in Europe, I was also searching on Euraccess. So in one platform, you can find all European PhDs. I mean, if there is a similar platform, I could do something similar to fund my eco startup. There could be one platform, one website, one place where I can go, basically to find what is suitable for me, where I can apply, what is the process. And it could be a one-stop solution for EU funds. So from a young researcher's point of view, that would be very, very nice. This is something that could also benefit people from ASEAN region. Many of our attendees today are from ASEAN region. So if they also have some ideas that they want to realize, they want to implement, one-stop solution could be a good platform for them also to check what are green funds, what are different funds available, and then how to apply, etc. and etc. So my thought is maybe something similar can be done by EU, ASEAN. So it remains to be seen what we can do in the future. But this could be an interesting idea to promote green funds from one platform for young people, young researchers, or young entrepreneurs. So as mentioned, I'm representing EMA, Erasmus Mundus Association. So yeah, we are an association whose vision is to become a global network of the greater Erasmus Mundus community, and our mission is to be a platform for exchange between students and alumni globally. So thank you very much. So I will stop here. Very short presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rajan, for bringing your perspective as like the future entrepreneur and to have an eco startup. What would you like? What would you like to see? So, okay. And then maybe there's type of platform where young eco startup can come together and see what type of funding is out there. So now we have to match the funding with the proposal, like use of the funding as well. Okay, thank you so much, Rajan. For the next speaker, may I invite JR, please, to bring another perspective, maybe from from WIGO. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the floor is yours, JR.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. I could not but really agree with Rajan, because it was my problem as well as a young social entrepreneur who wanted to go into sustainability. And I was not young at that time. I was already working and thinking about bringing together a group of friends who really wanted to make a difference. That's why WIGO came into birth. We are a consulting and training social enterprise company because we really value sustainability as part of our social mission, and we train youth organization to value that as well. So 25% of our profit goes to our social mission and help them in terms of organizational development. And you can see the numbers in terms of the reach. We're going 10 years old next year. So it has been a challenging fight for all of us to ensure that we continue to help different youth organizations. In the Philippines, we have different roles as conduit for other organizations that are maybe coming globally, or multi corporations that are present in the Philippines. So these are just some of the few organizations that we've helped in terms of ensuring that their funds that are invested in either development of a course, looking for youth organizations they want to fund to be able to do biodiversity projects. We help them in terms of doing that and reach out to the different youth organizations that are in the Philippines. So, but this is where the story that I'd like to start. This is a snapshot of the SDG progress in Southeast Asia, given by UNESCAP, a report for year 2021. And for me, this is disturbing because, as you can see in the 17 SDGs, climate change, life on land, and life on water are in a regression mode and not in a progression mode. And the report says that there is a possibility that the 2030 target may not be reached. But of course, we are still very hopeful that, in the next 8 years or so, we're going to do a lot in terms of climate change. Recently, the Philippines was just visited by another typhoon. In the local, we called it as Typhoon Paeng. And this is my region where I actually live, where Jenny and I actually lived locally here in the Philippines. So this is Negros. And growing up, this is not the Negros I know, or this is not the hometown I know. But now it's very vulnerable to climate change, specifically with typhoon, and we experience a lot of flooding, and livestock are being affected. With that, thus the importance of private and public partnership as a strategy for climate action. So in the Philippines, there is actually a office that is in charge for doing PPP work. So the government plays a central role in catalyzing strategic climate resilient actions, particularly in harnessing private sector engagement. So this is the institution where we bring in different organizations to talk and make sure that PPP will happen. And the Philippines is also committed to 70% reduction by 2030 in terms of carbon emissions. And through the PPP office, there's already a project pipeline in terms of accelerating the development of different projects that are green and at the same time sustainable. And also, since 2009, there is already a law in the Philippines that actually created the Climate Change Commission, which has, of course, institutionalized the organization, provided national framework strategy on climate change, developed green jobs assessment and certification system and guidelines, develop a national framework and plan of action for Philippine climate smart hospitals, comprehensive integrated climate change adaptation and resilience program for indigenous people, and they're starting also with the national climate risk management framework. I was also part of the green jobs assessment at that time. But what I'd like to focus on is this, because this is where YGOL really comes in as an organization. How do we actually localize the national efforts? How do we harness the energy of the young people to innovate instead of protest? Protest is good, but there should be action after that. Number one, in terms of looking at the local government units supporting youth initiative that, of course, promotes climate change innovation, there should be strategies where there can be incorporated in the annual plans of the local youth development councils to integrate climate change innovation, fund research or innovation on local biodiversity-friendly enterprises, because there are a lot. There are a lot of things that can be done. YGOL has just recently held a portfolio of about 55 youth organizations that implemented biodiversity projects all over the Philippines, um, and funded by an NGO in the Philippines during in the middle of a pandemic. So it can happen as long as there are institutions that are willing to do this for different youth organization. The third one is to support innovation camps that uses data science to address local issues. The other one is for civil society organizations, especially grant-giving institutions, and based also on our experience, is to democratize fund giving to eco projects, make flexible selection criteria to ensure inclusive participation amongst youth segment to include for-profit social enterprises. Second is to create more eco-focused innovation camps that uses data and address local sustainability gaps. It would be good really to look at local issues that contributes to climate change innovation. And then the third one, to support youth activities that promotes and lobby local ordinances to combat climate crisis. I think it's a perfect tandem that while you're implementing a project, there's also a group that lobbies integration of these in the local ordinance to make it more sustainable. At the ASEAN level, I think we should continue to create more opportunities to link ASEAN youth to be skilled on data science for climate change innovation. Just recently, and I think they're already on their 5th year, SAP is investing on data science through the ASEAN Foundation for an annual competition that's focused really on the SDGs. But I think if it would be more good to put premier or focus on climate change innovations, since this has been we are in the regression mode as the data says. Also, at the ASEAN level, we can strengthen startup competitions and other innovation awards to focus on climate change innovations, because I think there are a lot of competitions and innovation awards that provide opportunities for youth organization and for startups to invest. But it would be good also to focus on climate change innovations in this playing field. Yeah, I think that's for me, giving a taste of how financing can be done and investing in the youth also.
Thank you so much, JR. I'm seeing a lot of like youth initiative and then more localized. And then I also feel like from my funding agency background, and I think it might be the same for Jean-Pierre's too, if we're looking at like the national funding, we would like to have like a large project. So if this connection between like youth in Philippines, in ASEAN, Thailand, and similar projects are combined together and to be like more of a larger funding, I think it would be having more leverage and having strength to approach the funding agency. I think that would be like you were trying to combine various youth initiatives together. But if you leverage for more other countries together, I think that might be a good impact as well. Yeah. I think it's a good way of moving. All right, so thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on due to the limited time. Can I come back to Jewel, please? Would you share your experience regarding the financing for green initiatives?
First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I am João. I'm a head of strategy at Fundação Santander Portugal Foundation. For those who might not know, Santander is one of the biggest banks in the Eurozone. And we do have strong goals regarding sustainability. In one hand, the foundation, we have just created this foundation with the purpose of be a change agent to empower the society. And with that, we think that we need to join forces with all the sectors, with all the agents to meet the ambitious goals that we have as a society. So we do think that we need to leverage a collaboration system. I'm talking as a foundation, but as a bank, as a financial entity, I think that we have a strategic role and an important role to play in the climate change and the transition to a greener economy. So we have established some ambitious goals to the bank, some strategic goals to the bank as a group. We are present in several countries. Our headquarters are in Spain, but we do have a strong presence in Brazil, in Mexico, in the UK, in Poland, in Portugal. So I think that we are in the position that as a financial institution, we need to help our clients. We need to help our clients to move to this greener economy. So I think that the importance of this is that we are supporting climate transition, but we are also contributing to generate positive impact on society. And with that, I'm saying that we are committed to help everyone to do that. And with that, I'm saying that we need to join forces, and we need to, all of us in this conference, we need to join forces to tackle the climate change, to tackle the challenge that we have ahead. So to be more, I think that to put this into action, we are, first of all, hand in hand with our clients, hand in hand with academia. For example, one of our main goals is to boost lifelong learning to increase social mobility. We have also worked hand in hand with academia, supporting entrepreneurship and the creation and acceleration of projects with high growth potential. Right now, we do have a challenge open that it is called Santander X. I invite you to search for Santander X. It is a challenge that we support entrepreneurs in some specific areas that generate positive impact. And of course, we work in employability because we think that we need to close the circle. We enable the key skills to face the future of work. So I think that as a company, we have an important role we need to be an example as an international company, but we need to go hand in hand with all of our stakeholders, not only our clients. We need to work with our collaborators, with the communities we operate, with the NGOs, with the government. So I think that we need to join in this challenge. We need to go hand in hand in this challenge, and I think we need to meet. I would like to say that the SDG 17 is the most important one, because we cannot meet all the other sustainable development goals if we do not partner with our change agents in this world. So I would like to introduce. I've introduced where I work, but my previous experiences, I've been working in the sustainability area for quite a long. I was as you said, I was a manager in Ernst & Young for quite a long, and before that, I've worked in sustainability matters. So I think that it is important for us to put ESG matters in our agenda and to finance green projects. And as a bank, as an international bank, we are leveraging the green finance within the bank, not only because the European Commission is pressuring you to do that, but we think that we can we need to move forward, and we are launching a lot of products to help our clients, to help small and medium enterprises to meet those goals. And as I said, we are also supporting entrepreneurs in their journey to get the finance. That I know from previous experience that it is it is a challenge for the entrepreneurs. So I think that from my side, that's all. I'm open to any question, and I'll be glad to answer it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joel, for giving the perspective of sometime when you do green initiative, it's not just like energy efficiency like that, but if you look at your goal as to reducing social and economic inequality or better quality of life, and then those kind of green initiative can also merge, either like green initiative for lifelong learning as well. So so promoting good quality of life and good environment and green initiative can go along with each other. And that is also one of the goals for your banks as well. So thank you very much. Okay, for those of you who are listening online, if you have any questions, there is a chat box. Don't forget you can chat in the ask questions to the panelists, or if you want to introduce yourself, there's also a feature to introduce to other participants as well. So we can get the conversation going. So during this time, if you have any questions, do them now, and then I'll take a look, and then we'll have time for the Q&A on round 2. All right. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. And for the last speaker in round 1, I would like to invite Associate Professor Lin to the floor, please, so you can share your experience and perspective on regarding the Green Initiative and financing.
Good morning or afternoon to everyone. My name is Linh Nguyễn, and I'm from Vietnam in International School of University. And it's very nice to hearing some example from about the support of for green finance in from the presenter. For example, with the example from Philippines and the bank from Mr. Zhang. And now I would like to give some brief information about the situation now in Vietnam. As you know that Vietnam has attained remarkable economic achievements after nearly 13 years of innovation and opening policies. And these achievements are richly attributed to the nationwide establishment and development of economic and industry zones, which were designed to create a favorable environment for manufacturers and entrepreneurs, both domestic and international. However, you can see that it is an urgent that environmental issues and environmental management are addressed also in our countries within the context of industry. Therefore, the question is that how we can support for the financings for the green innovation to support for decrease the impact of to our environment. As you know that Vietnam also made a remarkable commitment to achieve net zero carbon emission by 2050, like Philippines. And so that's we focus and we invest many things to do this to do these policies. For example, recently we implement the Ecological Industry Park initiative for suitable industry zone in Vietnam. And within this purpose, we would like to attract more funding, both from the public and also in private sectors. And now I would like to show you that how Vietnam can support this idea to improve the support for green financing grant. For us, right now, we with the public sectors, we have different funding for greening. And like Philippines, we also have different funding for greening finances. For example, we had the first and very big funding, which named Vietnam Environmental Protection, and that is the organized established by the government, and it holds with big around 1 trillion Vietnam dong, and this one mostly supports financial activity in preferential loans or interest rate and grants to improve and recover the local environment issues. And besides the big one, we have the National Technology Innovation Fund, and this is the non-profit institution that provides the grants, also the loans, and to support for the organization or even with the individuals and business who carry out research, technology, and transfer and in green innovation. And the other fund we got is the Green Growth Support Fund. That is a cooperation between the Vietnam and Belgium. So you can see that we not only have the fund from our own government, but we also collaborate with the other government to have the fund to promote the and implement or encourage the green initiatives to reduce the CO2 emissions and other pollutants. And besides, we have a very interesting fund from the Vietnam Development Bank, and this bank can support for the state to invest the credits, or even though with foreign partner to invest for the program that related to green innovation. So in situation, I would like to emphasize that Vietnam banking system is playing a growing role in the green transition, and the credit institutions have increased their outstanding credit to environmentally to make the friendly investment, and that is really effective right now with us. Yeah, and besides, we have the
Dr. Lin,
others. Yes.
I was wondering, are you sharing your slide or just like talking, by the way?
Talking.
Oh, okay, okay, just to be sure. Okay, yeah. I see you're clicking. Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
And the other funding that from the public is the Vietnam Energy Efficiency for Industry Enterprise Program, and the others is the funding project to clear the production within the framework of IFC Global Sustainable Energy Finance Program. And so you can see that right now we have different kinds of the funding from the public to support the finance for the green innovation within the countries, and with the support from the government, from the public sector, we can do many different projects related to the green innovation, and we can have the very nice result right now. And besides the public sector, we also focus on how to attract the private investment. And as you know, in 2017, the government decided to offer the active feed-in tariffs to supply the solar power delivered to the grid. And the government also like to make the business condition more attractive for in private sectors. And the very important is that recently, 2 years ago, the Vietnam government passed in June 2020 its first law in PPP investment. And I also saw that in the Philippines, you also apply the PPP investment, and it's very successful. And just 2 years, Vietnamese government also do this policy to attract more and more investment from the private. And even though just 2 years, but we have successful to attract more different foreigners company come to support the finance for our green innovation here in Vietnam. And the government has subsequently issued a decree on the implement and financial management, and such partnerships are the good channel to bring the technologies, enterprise, and the know-how to into the sector traditional dominated by state enterprise. Yeah, as can to conclude about the practice in Vietnam, we would like to emphasize that with the carbon net zero commitment policy, Vietnam right now, we are show a great opportunity to obtain more and more funding from also public and private sector to support the green innovation. And therefore, it's very important to make the blend financial between the public and also private to make sure we have the good policy to support us to decrease the impact of climate change. So thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lin, and thank you very much to all our speakers. I know that the time is kind of limited, so based on what I hear, the funding agencies, they have a lot of funding program, not just from European side, we see from the bank, right, from the French aid. And then we also see that in also ASEAN, like Vietnam, they have many programs, and Thailand, we have many funding type of program as well. And then from the user side who want to request like funding or financing for their initiative, they have their own project that is also set. So now can I have like maybe just the last round from your perspective? What kind of project do you want to see? Can I ask from the funding side first, the one who has money, okay? So when you get all the pitches for the project, what is the key message you want to tell them? How can they improve their project to be better so it would be applicable to the funding side? So maybe this question can go to Joel. I know you have a few minutes, but maybe you can give this tips a little bit, and then Jean-Pierre. So if you have this time to tell to the participant audience, what do you want to tell them? How can they make their project better?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I think that the most important thing is that you're aligned with the strategy of the funders. Mm-hmm. And to be transparent. I think it's the most, it's a partnership. So don't think as an investor as we are really investors, we are really the people that will fund your project, but think as a partner. And if you were an investor, what would you like to know about your project? Transparency, I think this is the most important. Commitment with the project, and the capability to evaluate the impact you will generate. And if you have a social or an environmental mission, how can you meet that with a robust business model? I think those are the key messages: transparency, commitment, and a strong business model that will allow you to meet your ambition. I think that those are the first, beside all the technical data that we'll need. If I'm listening to a project, I will need to make a connection and to know that we are going to work in a partnership.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. You have to understand the fund. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. And Feel free to reach out if you have further questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much. All right, so now basically, so right now we need to know the strategy for the funders and work as the partnership, show transparency, show commitment. But if it's a loan type of funding, you have to have a solid business model. Okay, so can I go to Jean-Pierre? So can I ask that for the French Development Agency, what do you want to see when you're hearing, reading proposals or hearing pitches? What is your recommendation to the person who's developing those type of projects? Oh, can you unmute, please? Jean-Pierre, please unmute.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Sorry for that. Yes, I think there are two ways. Either you're really a newcomer for greenfields and sort of a start-upper. And then, I mean, your challenge, of course, will be that you don't come with the background, you don't have yet already proved, demonstrated track records of the market knowledge and so on and so forth, and already, I would say, checked partners. So this is the most innovative, and of course, it's the most difficult one because you don't have the track records. So in this respect, that I would recommend to try to get into contact with the many incubators now, which are developed in many countries. And there are many information on the internet to talk to different development partners to get recommendation on those incubators who actually help to wrap your business plan to be really compliant with what is expected in terms of business sustainability, in terms of market monitoring, and then the project would be much more attractive. So really look at the different business incubators which are developed now, and we're quite connected with a business angel. As far as we're concerned, we are a wholesaler. I mean, we don't enter into I would say B2B small investment, meaning that we go through those type of incubators, we go through banks, we sell specific dedicated credit lines, and we work with local, national financial institutions dedicated to that. So really try to get the information about those incubators who are now, I think, more and more numerous and connected. If you are a bit more, I would say, if you have a little, some little background, then you can actually get the information on the dedicated credit lines, meaning the development partners, they go through Asian banks, they go through either public or private, and they develop some specific either de-risking instruments, credit lines with TA in order actually to help a sort of scale-up process of a type of a business which is most of the time green business. And actually, this is very often a phenomenon which spreads quite quickly. And I remember that 7 or 8 years ago, renewable energy projects were really strange, considered as very risky, and it became completely, I would say, a business as usual, a regular investment. Whereas 7 or 8 years ago, it appeared very risky. And then 7 years ago, we installed those type of credit lines with TA incentives to the bank to accept this higher exposure, till they realized that actually they can make money out of what was considered then some new business model.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much, Jean-Pierre. Now coming to. Okay.
I'm very sorry because I will have to go. So thank you so much.
So thank you very much. And if there are any questions, we'll be emailing your way. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, for our other speaker, thank you so much for still with us. I know that I need to practice my moderation, so it will be on time. I don't want to interrupt you. You're like talking so good. Okay. So now for us, can you share with us how you connect with the funders? How did you have their strategy in mind in order for you to get the project, your initiative for to the funding agency? Maybe can you share your perspective on your success case studies? I think so. How about can I ask JR? Because like you're doing a lot of work on a social entrepreneurship. How did you connect with the funding agency, government, private sector? And how do you have to like form your project development so they can understand what your cause are? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first one is also to build your own database of where the funding, as what Rajan said, that you have to know where the information are. So you have to build your own database to know the information, what the funder needs, and to ensure that on a regular basis you try to check also the cycle of grants, the cycle of awards that are being given. So that's, I think, the first thing that you have to do. So you make sure to have those in your to-do list. But the other side of it is for you to be prepared, to make sure that you have for me, the correct, the mix that really work is that you have the story, you have the narrative to tell that this is exactly what's happening locally or maybe nationally if it's a nationwide project. The second one is that you have to have data to support your own story, to ensure that you're not just claiming anything, but you're claiming actual facts, that you are supported by data that actually says that X place is actually affected by climate change, or indigenous people are feeling climate change at this point where originally they are not. And then the third one is you have to have a proof of concept, or at least a prototype that works. I think that's a good mix of what you need to prepare in order for you to be able to build a concept note and shoot an email to your possible grant institution. But a lot of it has also to do with ensuring that you network as well. Understand where your possible grant institution may come from, their perspective, the kind of needs that you need to address, because they also have indicators to meet. So you also have to understand that perspective. So I think that would be a good mix of where to start and what to prepare as well.
Thank you so much. I just want to chime in on behalf of the funding agency. We have a very tight indicators, like per year and 5 years. So we're looking for a project who matches our indicators, and we do look at your team, individual researcher or institution, if they have the capacity, capability, potential to reach that. But we want to invest in young or new ones as well, but there has to be some kind of credibility involved. So you have to build a strong team, or having a larger team, just to see if you want a larger project. Yeah. So that's, yeah. Okay. So Rajan, you want to chime in, please?
But just to add to what JR and also you said, some people that I know from either my master studies or my alumni who have successfully created their own companies, sometimes they go for different competitions. So it could be a student competition where they are giving some seed funding to the winners, or I don't know, the top 3. So if anybody here in the attendees, they also have some ideas. One way of polishing your idea could be to go for this kind of competition, because there are also, as you mentioned, Sai, there are some criteria upon which our team is judged. So when you are new, you might only have an idea, but it needs some polishing. It has to be a package. So attending this kind of competition can also sharpen the project and idea of the young researcher as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Rajan. Well, Jenny and I were judges for the competition, pitching competition, and we do see a lot of great ideas. However, translating into a business model, it's kind of like very much somewhat harder. So, Professor Lin, can you help answer and also answer one more question from the Q&A? Because you talk a lot about the funding for the public-private partnership. So sometime the question that was asked is that it's kind of difficult to do the public-private cooperation because it has to be the in cash or in kind involved. How can you work regarding public-private partnership as well? Yeah, so maybe you can add on your experience on that side.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Yeah, you're right. It's not easy to get the funding from the private public section, right? But I think that also the same with the continue with the answer from our guest that if we would like to vote the funding, even though from the public section or sector or private sector, the very important is that we must have very clear ideas about what we want to do. And the second thing is that we must have the good and very good preparation about the budget, because that is the important question, what we would like to use the money for what. And if we really know what we want to do and how about the money will pay for what. So if we can answer on the question, especially how about the money used for things. So I think that is not is it also very easy to convince our investment. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Lin, for that, for the comment. So basically, we see the perspective, I think various perspective of the funding agency, the banks, the project developer, this entrepreneur, researcher, young researcher that is just up and coming. So it's what I feel is that money is in the air. My boss usually say this, sigh, there's money everywhere, funding everywhere, okay? But how do you harness those funding? So you have to know what this air pocket needs. So you have to go and do your research and be strategic. You have to know yourself first, what do you want to do? And you have to find the funding or partner of how do you grow together. So if usually the funding will need to be like a clear business plan, if there's a bank, if there's a loan, a research grant, and then a few, there's so many ways to go. So you just need to match it up correctly. And right now there is no platform that you can go. There's no platform that you can go to see, okay, I have this matching this. It's not like match.com where they can find your partner, right? So you have to work hard. If you want to have a long-lasting relationship, you have to work hard. You have to study hard, look at where you want to go, prepare yourself. Like JR said, make a story narrative, have data support, have a backup team, so you can be attractive and then match with the right funding agency. So at the end, I think we all wanted the same goal, to have a greener and better world, better of living. And then I think all of us have the energy to do all those good initiatives, the green initiative, more sustainable. And we just need to communicate, talk, and prepare. So on behalf of the funding agency as well, I want to communicate and I want to tell you what I want. Sometimes I communicate and you don't understand me, so you can ask back of what I want. Okay. And then because usually researchers just listen to me and they translate into what they want. So just listen to each other, have an open mind, and work as a partnership. And then everything will be successful. So thank you very much, all the panelists, for staying with us. And thank you very much to the participant who are asking the questions and listening. And if you miss anything, you can go back to the video. There is a video on the Euraxis website as well, right? And then, and I hope this is part of a starting initiative, and there would be more webinars later on. Okay, so check out our next session, okay, at the Euraxis, EU Day. Sorry, I'm trying to that ASEAN Engage in Schedule. Okay, so thank you very much, organizers and speakers, and have a nice day. Okay, thank you.
Everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Sai. Thank you so much.
Thank
Rajal.
you.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I'm trying to be on time.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job.
Excellent. Thank you.